Welcome. You're listening to John Hyman from Commercial Real Estate Online. This is a training video for commercial real estate agents and brokers around the world to help them with the leads and the opportunities and finding new prospects and clients to work for in commercial real estate brokerage, be it sales, leasing or property management. So, if this is the first time that you're visiting us, you can get lots of leads and opportunities for information, of course, helping you with your market share from our website, which is commercial-realestate-training.com. At that website you will find lots of downloads, some templates, a lot of PDF files, and we send those out each week through the email system. So by all means, check us out, and if you haven't seen the website before, there it is there. And we've put out a couple of podcasts this week. Podcast 167 was relative to prospecting in commercial real estate, also regards making more sales in the market today, and the third issue we covered in that was how to do a retail shopping centre survey. And just before that, we actually did another podcast a couple of days before that. One was in winning new clients in commercial real estate today, and the other was how to assemble a top-class commercial real estate team, and also how to conquer call reluctance. So those are the things that we have on the website. By all means, check us out. In the meantime, let's get back to this particular program. So this is all about keeping your cold call numbers up. So why should you do that? Well, the cold calling process is actually a very good part of a prospecting model for agents and brokers. Yes, there are a number of things to do. Of course, cold calling is part of it. You should be approaching new people in many different ways, and that can be making telephone calls, door knocking, sending letters, sending brochures. Talking to people on the phone is a very effective way of optimizing your time and getting to a large number of people each and every day. And I'll say a bit more about the numbers shortly. So, if you start making cold calls, you'll find that it's a skill that needs to be learned. It needs to be practiced. It is a bit difficult. You need to get comfortable with it, and of course making the conversation flow and getting the numbers together as far as the number of outbound calls every day is quite a challenge initially. So let's say you've got the drive and the motivation to make this work. Let's look at things further. So this is the case. You will be making a lot of calls. How many calls? Probably 40 to 50 a day. Where will you get those numbers? Initially, if you haven't got a database, use the business telephone book for your town or city. Start to talk to every business owner you can find. As part of that, and further to that, you should also be talking to property owners and property investors. Now, they are harder to find, mainly because they hide behind a company structure, a property trust, or something similar. And in getting to those people, you will actually have to do a degree of research for each property, each location, find out who owns that property, and make a few phone calls to get down to the right person, the right telephone number, and of course the right questions to ask. So you're making a lot of calls. You will need a database to hold things together for you and to track the conversations, the results that you get from making those calls. So let's say you make those calls. I'll tell you who to call shortly. So let's go on a little bit further. A script will help you. Now, a script is something simple to get a conversation underway. In commercial real estate brokerage, you simply need to make the calls and ask a few questions and make it a conversation, not a pitch. You cannot pitch to people who you really don't know, and indeed they don't know you. You're simply trying to find if they have a need or an interest in commercial real estate, be it office property, industrial or retail property. Of course, they may be an investor, a tenant, perhaps someone who owns property now. You don't know. So a simple script will help you find those things out. So let's go a little bit further. If you're going to phone people up, you've got to figure out who the heck you're going to phone. And that's where the research comes in. Every night you should be researching more people to call the next day. Don't waste time during the day researching people. You should do that each evening so that you start the business day the next day with a list of people to call. Researching is quite important, and if you do it correctly, it will save you a lot of time and get you some results very quickly. Determine who you should be talking to, the right property owners, the right tenants, the right business owners in your location. Research those people. So let's go back a little bit here and go to the other side of the topic here. So I went through these three issues for you. Now let's look at who do you call? Well, you call these people. Firstly, accountants. Accountants will have a group of clients that own property, and you need to find out if those accountants would like help with their clients, particularly regards property needs. Certainly the accountants may take a little bit of time to build a relationship with. That is the case. They'll need to know and trust you over time to ensure that you have the skills, the discipline in commercial real estate before they expose their clients to you. So that's the accountants in your town or city. You can get a good list of accountants from the business telephone book, and of course you can then drill down and make telephone calls to those accountants. And some of them will be quite difficult to contact, so you will need to send a letter first and then make the call second. Stay organized, stay focused, and keep up the momentum. It's not easy to get through to people, but you can do so over time by keeping up the persistent calls, being polite and conversational. So, who else do you call? Business owners. Now this group is very easy to connect with because they are in the business telephone book. And of course you can find the businesses and the business owners by walking down the streets in your territory, your sales territory, your town or your city. The business owners are there. They're easy to find. Yes, they may have a receptionist or someone similar to talk through to get to the business owner themselves. However, your conversational ability and your questioning will help you get there. From that point, you will be talking to investors. Investors are those people that come and go from the market because they can see an opportunity to earn money, be it in income or capital gain from the property that they will own. So investors come and go. There will be investors in your city that you need to know. Some of them may already own portfolios of properties, and that's a good thing. That makes it a bit easier for you to find them. You simply chase down the ownerships of properties, and eventually you'll find some people that own a number of properties, and they are the investors. You'll also need to know the landlords in your territory. Landlords require help with tenants, vacancy factors, occupancy. Perhaps landlords want to sell the property at some stage. Maybe it needs to be renovated, refurbished. Landlords are there for you to pursue, and indeed you can. Now, property developers, it's an interesting topic. Property developers come and go from the market. They have an interest, obviously, in doing a deal and finding a property that can produce income for them. That being said, property developers at the moment in many towns and cities are perhaps not doing too much because the margins on a new property development are a little bit low. So they stay out of the market until such time as they can get a good parcel of land and see the opportunities from the construction phase through to the project sale or the project lease. So you do need to know some property developers, hopefully the more successful ones, so that when they come back in the market, you can help them further. It can also be said that property developers are always looking for good parcels of land in your town or city. So if you can find some vacant land that works for them, regards the zoning, the building opportunity, then by all means try and open the door, because the result of selling a good piece of land to a property developer is that it could very well be a project sale or a project lease. So let's go a little bit further. Property owners. Yes, they're out there. You need to find them. It's a street-by-street process. You start at one end and you work through the street and get to the other end. Then you change sides and go down the other side of the street. And you do that throughout your suburb, your territory, and your property types. If you work a territory, then it's just street by street. If you work a property type rather than a territory, then you'll be chasing down every property type in your town or city. Either way, you have to be methodically going through property ownership records to find the property owners. As to how you connect with them, well, perhaps a telephone call if you can find the right telephone number, or a letter or a brochure, or perhaps you need to door knock the property owners when you can find out where they live. Persistence pays in this industry. You really do need to keep the whole momentum up, and eventually you'll get through to the right number of people, the VIP people that can be the good deal opportunities, the sales, the leases in the future. Now I have put solicitors on this list. Yes, they are the attorneys, the property solicitors, the people that have clients that actually own property. They will be an opportunity, the solicitors in themselves, in that when they eventually trust you and respect your skills, then it's likely they will expose you to some of their clients, and of course that can open up into other deals over time. Many a real estate agent has made a lot of commission and listing opportunity from a good solicitor. Now that says it takes a lot of time to create and build that trust with solicitors. It's a bit like the accountant situation. Accountants and solicitors are very protective of their client base. However, if you connect with the right people and build the relationship over time, things will start to open up. The doors of opportunity will start to open for you. Now, tenants. Tenants exist in good buildings, of course. They exist in any building from an investment perspective. However, you do need to know what the tenants are doing. That says that you need to understand their lease expiry dates, their occupancy intentions. Maybe they're getting to the end of a lease and would like to purchase something. Or perhaps that business, that tenant, actually owns something somewhere else that they would like to dispose of. Tenants come and go from the market. Sometimes they prefer to lease, sometimes they prefer to buy. Either way, you can help them through their lease quandary and or sales opportunity. So that's who do you call? You call these people. Let's look a little bit further here and go to the third topic, the important facts. The people that you call are basically hard to get. That's why you must be very methodical in what you do. Every day you make more calls. Eventually the calls become relatively easy. In saying that, you don't waste time with people that don't want to talk to you. If they say, no thanks, don't want to talk about it today, you say, thanks very much for spending time with me now, and you move on. There's plenty of other people to call, and that's what this game is all about. In fact, if you make 40 to 50 phone calls a day using the business telephone book, I would expect you to get through to maybe 15 to 20 people as part of that process. And of the 15 to 20 people, I would expect you to get maybe 2 meetings with potential people who may need property assistance in the future. So that's the numbers, that's what they're like. So you need to spend about 3 hours a day to make that work for you. And those 3 hours are probably the early hours of the morning, starting at about 8 o'clock and moving through to maybe 11 o'clock. 3 hours of dedicated prospecting. Over time, that will open more doors and give you more opportunity in sales, leasing and property management. And every agent, every broker, every property manager should be making prospecting calls. That's the way it is. Even over time, when you become more experienced and you have a good client base, you should still be making prospecting calls. The fact of the matter is that people fall away from your database. They simply do other things. They move out of the town or city. They don't want to transact commercial property anymore. They have no further interest. So you must top up your database with new and fresh people. If you're in a good sized town or city with a good population, then that process is going to be relatively easy. As I said earlier, start from the business telephone book and work out from there. And of course, methodically work the streets. I did mention that earlier as well. When you methodically work the streets, you can actually find the opportunities through talking to people. The business owners in the street, the property owners in the street know more about that street than you do. That's why you make the calls. So let's see where we can go from here and ask a question of you. What does your client, your good client, look like and sound like? If you're going to prospect for a client, you need to understand exactly where they are, what they do, what they look like, what they sound like, what they want to do in the future as far as property opportunity. You have to determine exactly the ideal client that you'd like to work with in the future. That helps you a lot with your prospecting efforts. And finally, one further point to wrap up on, it's the property type and the business focus. What is the property type that you will be working on mainly? Is it industrial, office or retail? In this business market today, in this property market today, it's easier if you focus on a property type, particularly because you need to understand rents and prices and rents per square meter or per square foot, and the same for sales. And of course you can then drill down on comparable properties because you are a specialist in a property type. And further to that, at the end of focusing on a property type, you should be focusing on the business and generating the business. So from all of these topics here I've just mentioned to you, you should be focusing on growing your business. So that is the topics for today. That is how to get your cold calling numbers up. It helps you get the momentum, and that's really what the game is all about. Getting the cold calling numbers up and running. Make those calls, develop the skills and practice what you're doing. So that is the end of this particular video. As I said to you before, the website for us is commercial-realestate-training.com. And of course you can get plenty of tips, tools and ideas at that website. Thanks for listening to us today, and if you do visit the site, by all means pick up some of the charts and templates that are there. We've got plenty of articles relative to cold calling, which will help you as well. So my name is John Hyman. It's good that you can listen to us today, and of course you can download this video and use it as part of your training model perhaps, or your own personal skill development. I'll sign off for now, and I'll catch you again next time.